Old School Lane Casual Chats is brought to you by Old School Lane, producing various content from blogs, videos, and podcasts discussing about movies, TV shows, video games, and everything else in between since 2011. You can check out the podcast on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, Overcast, Breaker, Pocket Cast, and YouTube. We're associated with Channel Frederator, Manic Expression, The Comic Book Cast, and The Arun Mehta Show.
Let's celebrate your special day, wishing you the very best. Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary. Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary. Anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary. Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Casual Chats. It is the 10th anniversary of Casual Chats. On November 18th, 2012, we had posted up the very first episode of Casual Chats. We've been doing it ever since. We've done at least over 190 plus episodes, including all the stuff that we did for Old Spook Lane last month. So we're going to be having some very special guests who are going to be coming on by and sharing off their memories of my podcast, and even maybe ask me some questions about anything that they want regarding about my 10 years of doing Old School Lane Casual Chats. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, okay. I'm the Nasaya. I've been a pretty long time fan and subscriber.
Oh, okay.
You guys may remember me from that Angry Beavers video.
Oh, yes, that's right. I remember, yes. You submitted something for the Angry Beavers 25th anniversary live stream. I remember, yes. So I was wondering, what was your very first episode of my podcast you ever listened to?
Very first episode. I think that was the As Told by Ginger one, or no, wait. I think maybe it was your top 10 Nicktoons video. I think it was.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. So that must have been like way back around almost 10 years ago.
So yeah, that and your As Told by Ginger video.
Okay. Yeah. So that was probably around 2015 or 16. I probably did that. So yeah. What have been your favorite episodes that I've ever done?
Well, I really started like with the Nicktoons as Nicktoons is one of my favorites too. I started out with Rugrats, and then I kind of went on from there.
Oh, okay. So I would say that when it comes to my discussions of Nicktoons on my podcast, I mean, I have done several of them over the years. I've done Danny Phantom. I've done As Told by Ginger. I've done Chalk Zone. I did various other ones. I did We're in Between, which was the weekly As Told by Ginger podcast that I did with Casey and Ashley from the Friday Night Nicktoons podcast. And then ZL and I did Rugrats View from the Crib. We did the first 2 seasons of Rugrats. So yeah, we have tackled our very fair share of Nicktoons over the years. And even just a few years ago when the Nicktoons specials, such as Hey Arnold the Jungle Movie, Rocko's Modern Life, Static Cling, and Invaders Have Entered the Floor Pits, we also talked about that as well. So yeah, those were a lot of fun. Those are some of my favorite that I've ever done.
And yeah, and then you were one of the people that got me into As Told by Ginger.
Oh,
I really started to enjoy that show.
Oh, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it.
I still partly think Pep Band, who came out to be my favorite, but As Told by Ginger is still pretty close second.
Oh, sure, yeah. It's actually really nice to hear from some people who tell me that they got introduced to As Told by Ginger because of my content. So that really means a lot. So thank you. So
Please, Robin.
if you have any questions for me, then go for it.
Oh, I almost forgot what my question was to be. Like I said, I'll start with a simple one. What would you say is your favorite knit tune right now?
Oh, that's a really good question. Like current?
Um, Current or past one?
I mean, a lot of people have asked me this question. Some people think that As Told by Ginger is my favorite, but actually, if I were to rank like top three, it would be Avatar is number one, Hey Arnold's number two, and then maybe As Told by Ginger would probably be like either like maybe three or four, depending on what my mood is. Rocco's Modern Life would definitely be around that list of my top five as well. So yeah, it varies from time to time.
Um, and then I think you already have a preview for this, but is there any knit tune you would like to see come back?
Oh, that's a really good
Revolution?
question. Oh man, that's I mean there have been a lot of like revivals that have been coming out over the years. I mean, we saw with Hey Arnold, we saw with Rocco's Modern Life, we saw with Invader Zim. I mean, a lot of people have been asking me what would I like to see As Told by Ginger come back, and I did answer that in the podcast where I talked about this with Antoni and the guys behind Nation of Animation podcast, where if I do want to see it come back, they have to do it right. Like, I think that all they need to do is just basically do some little tweaks here and there to modernize it. But for the most part, I think that the foundation still stands. But if they never bring it back, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that for the longest time, I would have loved to have seen the adaptations of the Avatar comic books come to life in animation form, but I've been hearing a lot of things about what Avatar Studios is doing. They're going to be doing like the first set of movies, and they're going to be doing like a whole bunch of other projects that is still up in the air as to what they're going to be doing. I'm really curious to see what they're going to be accomplishing in terms of the movies. I mean, the rumors have been that it's going to be focusing on three core characters, and one of them has been confirmed to be Aang. So I think that if they really want to have like other characters focused on, I mean, in my opinion, I would love to see an adaptation of The Search, where we finally get to find out what happened to Zuko's mom. I mean, that's been one thing that a lot of people have been wanting to see for a long time. I mean, we were originally supposed to have a 90-minute TV movie of that, but then when the first season of Legend of Korra became a bigger hit than Nickelodeon even intended to be, then they scrapped it in favor of a season two. So I would love to see them finally doing it, because we already have the comics for that, but a lot of people want to see it adapted into animation, and I think that'll be really cool. Now, as for anything that hasn't been touched for a while that I would love to see come back in some way, shape, or form, that's a really interesting question, because I feel like a lot of them have gotten their run already. I mean, a lot of them have like their 52 or 65 episodes, and there's only been like maybe one or two that maybe you can probably stretch in to have like another story. But if I were to choose something, I mean, that's kind of interesting to say. I mean, I guess maybe if I would love to see maybe a continuation of some short-lived programs from Nickelodeon, like maybe El Tigre, like we got to see what Manny's decision was, whether he wanted to be the hero or the villain. Maybe we'll get to explore more of that, or maybe Harvey Beaks. I know that CH Greenblatt pretty much burned the bridges of that one, but maybe it could be a possibility if we wait another 10, 15 years. Yeah. But if I were to choose like one classic Nicktoon that I would love to see like come back for like maybe just one more special, trying to think, because I mean, like I said, I mean, a lot of them did have like satisfactory endings. But yeah, I think that out of all of them, I mean, I guess the thing I would love to see is something that Jim Jenkins told me about almost a decade ago, where he had an idea about that he wanted to have like a class reunion with Doug and his friends, and he wanted them to reunite with one another, and we get to see what they're like as college students. I would love to see that come into fruition. Now, of course, there's the big debate about like whether is it going to be the Nickelodeon version or the Disney version.
Yeah.
I would love to see the Nick version of Doug, where we get to bring back Billy West and we get to bring back a lot of the core people behind it, and definitely have like the story that Jim always wanted to talk to reveal to people, saying that this is what my ending is. I mean, we've already seen Rugrats come back on Paramount Plus. Ren and Stimpy is planning on coming back for Comedy Central. So yeah, Doug is that one show that's just basically in a limbo. It's like, is Disney still owning the rights to it technically, but they're still also the Nickelodeon version, so it's a bit shaky.
Yeah. I was doubt who Jim Lane was. Since I'm not the biggest fan of that. This never like touched me like some of your Nicktoons.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm actually curious, which one do you want to see come back?
Well, my first thought is like is it was one that already came back a little bit, was Invader Zim.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then otherwise I would maybe like Danny Phantom. I would love to see that one too. That
Well, they are planning on bringing back Danny Phantom in a graphic novel series.
well, I know about that one, but but more as like a little revival series. I would love that a little bit more.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I am excited for that time, but too. So
Yeah. That'll be really interesting. Just trying to think about what kind of stories they can cover with that one, but I'm sure that they'll be able to expand the story if they do it right, of course.
and then I would like to see a comeback of I think you might remember this one. I would like to see a comeback of Alex Max.
Oh, okay. You want to talk about the live action stuff as well? Sure.
Yeah.
I think that'll be really interesting to see Alex Mack come back. I mean, whether as a reboot or a revival. I mean, we'll probably maybe get the answer we were looking for. Did Alex take the serum so she can get back to normal? So yeah, I mean, I think that'll be really interesting. Or maybe it'll just completely reboot it, and maybe we'll see a side of Alex Mack that is more of an anti-hero. I mean, because those are becoming like really, really popular, like Invincible from Amazon Prime. So maybe, I mean, I would love to see a different take on it for sure.
So yeah, like that one. I think that's pretty much it. I have in my head.
Okay, yeah. And as for like live action shows that I would love to see come back, that's actually a really interesting question because for the most part, I can't really think of a lot of like live action shows that I would like to see come back. I mean, sure, I would love to see shows like Nesty Classified, or I would like to
Oh,
see
I would love
yeah,
to see the next
yeah,
one, especially since that high school one never got made.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, the high school survival guide. There was originally supposed to be a series where they went to high school, but due to like low ratings compared to the shows that Dan Schneider was producing at the time, it just wasn't feasible enough. And also the kids were just getting too old, which it seems to be a pattern when it comes to like various shows of Nickelodeon at the time, in which like if our actors are getting too old, we need to replace them with younger actors because we still are focusing on kids, which I mean today is not that case anymore because we have a lot of shows that geared towards nostalgia. I mean, now iCarly is back on Paramount Plus for an older audience who grew up with it, so
Yeah,
that whole thing is
yeah. I've
pretty
watched some of that.
not justified
It's been
anymore.
kind of boring.
I have not seen it, so I cannot tell you about it.
Okay. But yeah, like I don't know how old they are right now, but I don't think they're too old for maybe like doing like a college version. Maybe they did do that.
Possibly. I think another one that I would love to see come back, I guess we'll probably lean more towards some other shows. I would love to see some of the game shows that were like really big at the time come back, because Nickelodeon has been pretty skint when it comes to their game shows. I mean, they bring back one and then they bring back another one that just so happens to be a carbon copy of one that is already pre-existing. So I would love to see maybe possibly I mean, I've already talked about this like over a decade ago in my top 10 Nickelodeon shows that need to be remade. I mentioned Nick Arcade as a major one because I see the potential of a Nick Arcade remake, like have it actually focus on video games. And also the fact that when I did my video of From Pilot to Final Product about the Nick Arcade pilot with Bilal Smith, we were talking about how 30 years ago when people were playing video games, it wasn't like the hardcore audience that we have today. So I think that it could definitely work. And believe it or not, when I did some research about, bringing back Nick Arcade, they actually tried to do it twice on Kickstarter and they both failed miserably. So yeah, that's probably something I want to talk about in a future video or something. So then there's also, go ahead.
They brought back the double dare, but that didn't last too long as I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, it did last for about a few years, which, yeah, it's true that maybe it could have lasted a little bit longer, but I think it did have a pretty decent run. And I think out of all of them, it was probably the most successful in terms of like, hey, let's bring back a classic game show that a lot of people love and let's see it come back for a new audience. And yeah, I when I think back about like all the other ones that happened, like Double Dare did it again with Double Dare 2000, which was fine. It's okay, but it's not as good as the original. And then there was the 2002 version of Wild and Crazy Kids, which didn't feel like Wild and Crazy Kids. And then there was My Family's Got Guts, which again didn't really feel like like Guts at all because they brought in the family into it. And then there was the revival of Figure It Out, which I think that was probably before Double Dare, that was probably the best one that I saw because at least, they were able to actually have a host that was like pretty entertaining. Like, Jeff Suffman was really, really good as the host. And also they were able to bring in a lot of tweaks to the gameplay that was actually really entertaining to watch. The only nitpick I had with it was the panelists at the time, because they were just based off of the modern stuff. And at that point I'd already was no longer interested in watching like these people from like the live action shows, like, oh, here's some people from Victorious and some people from iCarly and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't care. But
yeah, I think Figure It Out is the only game show I didn't get to see yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sure that there's some way that you can be able to watch it online. So yeah, I definitely do recommend
I'm pretty sure it's on Paramount Plus, maybe.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and then they actually did bring back Legends of the Hidden Temple on the CW, but unfortunately it was canceled for one season due to COVID. But
I still need to watch that. I was still trying to find that.
Yeah, it's on the CW website. It's only about like maybe what was it? How many episodes? What's like 13 episodes or something. So yeah, it's basically Legends of the Hidden Temple for adults. So it's a bit different, but at the same time, it does keep the core elements of what Legends of the Hidden Temple is. So yeah, I thought it was pretty good. And when I asked a lot of the listeners and viewers about like what their thoughts of it, they seemed to react to it pretty positively. So yeah, I think that there was actually also a pretty good revival on the game show as well.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of Hidden Temple. I ended to go up with all of it, but I got to watch some of their reruns, and I enjoyed watching that Hidden Temple movie and that. Did you see that one crossover they did with Loud House?
Oh yeah, sure. I did see it, and they, it was really nice that they were able to bring back all the callbacks of the Legends of the Hidden Temple game show, and they were even able to bring back all the people who were even behind it. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. Yeah.
So yeah, I think I wish I would have been able to be at test down Double Dare. I think that would have been very good.
Oh sure, yeah, that would have been pretty awesome to see.
And okay, this will be kind of a strange one if they ever brought it back, but I would kind of like it to be brought back, which was a Brain Surge. Do you remember that one?
Oh yes, I really enjoyed watching Brain Surge. That was probably like the best game show that premiered in Nickelodeon during the 2000s, because other than just like we're gonna bring back the classics, they only had like maybe a handful of like original game shows. There was Brain Surge, as you mentioned before. Then there was Scaredy Camp, which was basically a game.
I just watched the video on that. Do you remember? Do you know the guy? Norty?
Oh yeah, Norty. He's a friend of mine, actually.
He just did a review on that show. I just watched it.
Oh yeah,
for,
yeah, he did do a
for
review on that.
Halloween.
Yes, yeah, he did that for his Halloween video. I'll probably leave a link to it on the description so you guys can check it out. So, for those who don't know, Scaredy Camp was a show that lasted for 2 seasons. It was about a group of kids who got into a summer camp, and they were told about this legend that they had to piece together so that they can be able to solve it right before the other team did. So, yeah, interesting concept. I would love to see that come back. I think that they can be able to do some really cool things with it. And then there was Robot Wars, which was another game show that came out around the 2000s. It was basically just like a kiddified version of the original game show where, you have people building robots and then they go against each other and fight. So, yeah, I mean, other than that, there wasn't
How
really
did I miss that one? You think I would enjoy that one? How much I love robots.
Yeah,
How did
yeah.
I miss that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the episodes would eventually air on like Nick Gas, so maybe that's why a lot of people missed out on it.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, other than that, yeah, when it came to like game shows in the 2000s, it was pretty sparse, and then the 2010s was pretty much the same thing. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe because kids are not into game shows anymore. I'm not sure, but I would love to see like some of these come back and given a new breath of life to see if maybe people would be interested in it. So yeah, Brain Surge would definitely be
nice,
one that I would love to see.
especially now because I don't think they have any more game shows on except for that weird summer thing that I heard of. I don't really think that's really anything.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, so yeah, do you have any other questions?
I think that was the only one I had in my system. Oh wait, I did have one more in my head. I'll do with that one, and then maybe I can show you off some of my Nicktoon action figures you might have seen.
Oh, sure.
Okay, what's your favorite Nicktoon memory?
Oh, that's a really good question. When I was about 13 years old, I went to Universal Studios and I actually got to go to Nickelodeon Studios. And I actually got to see them building the set for Double Dare 2000 even before it was opened. And I got to see like the Nickelodeon store, and I got to see let's see what I saw. I got to go inside and did a studio tour, and we got to play some games inside and went to the gift shop, and we got to look around and see all the cool stuff that they had. This was probably around like 1999, which would have been happening. And then on and off over the years, we got to see all the other stuff that Nickelodeon Studios had. There was the Jimmy Neutron ride, and then there was the slime geyser that would just burst up every so often. So there was that. And then there was also the time in which that I was really, really excited for me to learn more information about Arnold's parents when the Parents' Day episode and the Journal episode first aired. I was like one of those people who was like wanting to see more information about Arnold's parents. And then there was also the time in which my cousins and I did a marathon of Avatar: The Last Airbender to get ourselves ready for the 4-part episode where everything concluded with the Sozin's Comet battle with Fire Lord Ozai. And then there was also the time in which in recent years, when I first met Arun Mehta from the Arun Mehta Show in person, we went to see the Jungle movie together, and that was a great memory because it was the first time that we ever met in person, and we were really, really excited to see a movie that we've been waiting for over 15 years, and being able to see it with somebody that we've met online a few times, and now being able to get to know each other a little bit more in person was such a great experience. So yeah, those are probably my fondest Nickelodeon memories. How about yours?
Yeah,
I'd like to know about yours.
Yeah, those are good ones too. Like my memories, my memories would mostly be here at home, but like when I first came upon Rugrats, I started to really enjoy it. So like I was kind of a little bit of a late bloomer when it came to the 90s stuff because I didn't get to grow up with like Ren or Stimpy or Doug. Rugrats was my first Nicktoon.
Oh, that even reminds me. I remember when I was like around 5 or 6 years old, and I first saw Stimpy's Invention and Space Madness, and I was just so just ingrained with it, just like seeing just the craziness that was happening. And I remember that my mom didn't want me to watch it because she thought it was like too crazy and violent, and so she told me to turn it off. So I remember also that part as well.
I didn't understand that. Although I didn't grow up with Ren and Stimpy. I think it's probably maybe a good thing I didn't grow up with it too. It was so inappropriate. I've heard
Right.
it being.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like I enjoyed Rugrats and stuff like that. And I think it's totally if you got to see the Double Dare set being built.
Yeah, it's somewhere deep in this house of old recording that I had from a camera, of my family's time when we went to Universal Studios for the first time in 1999. So it's dug deep somewhere. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And then like Dane's ride the Nicktoon ride, like that would have been awesome.
Yeah, I remember the Nicktoon ride. That was actually pretty fun.
It's the same. It's the same. They don't have that anymore.
Yeah, I remember when I was a part of the Reopen Nickelodeon Studios Facebook page group that I would love to see it come back, because I think that it would be great to have people have the opportunity to go to a place where they can be able to celebrate their favorite Nicktoons. I mean, we have, Disney World, obviously, and then nowadays, if when I was living in Florida, I already knew about Legoland, and then, in recent years, they're going to be opening up the Super Nintendo world, and they're going to be opening it up in California and Florida. It's already open in Japan, and it's really, really popular. And in Japan, also, they have the Studio Ghibli theme park, but I
Oh,
understand
I
that
heard of
it's a,
that.
yeah,
I
it looks
would love to go
really,
there.
yeah, it would be really, really nice, but I know that they have a very strict way of having people come in, like a lottery thing where only a handful of people are able to go inside, which understandable because, they want to keep people safe due to COVID.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I would love to see Nickelodeon try again to open up, maybe at least a small attraction somewhere so that people can be able to celebrate it. I mean, I know that they've done the hotel thing already in the past, but unfortunately, due to COVID, that kind of like fell apart, and I know that they're trying to pick themselves up a little bit. It's actually funny because this summer they were even doing like the Nickelodeon attractions thing where they would like travel around into different places, and they would have like panels and tables of like little kids meeting up with their favorite cartoon characters like SpongeBob and Paw Patrol and stuff like that. And
I think that's the only thing they have right now.
yeah, that's the only thing they have right now. And when I was in Manchester with Aaron and his family, we actually heard like terrible reviews of it. And we were like, I mean, we almost went,
Yeah.
by the way. We almost went. We were like, hey, this is close around the area. Why don't we just give it a go? And he was like, yeah, but this stuff is like for 5-year-olds. It would look kind of awkward since we don't have, children. I'm like, fair enough. It's a good thing we didn't, because apparently it cost way too much and there was barely anything for the kids to even enjoy. So yeah, that also is falling apart.
Oh yeah, I heard that. Watching that on your pod. I listen to your podcast sometimes.
Yeah. So we did talk about that in Aaron and Patricia, where we actually did hear about how terrible that turned out to be, and I was like, yeah, hey Nickelodeon, maybe you should reconsider opening up your studios. I think they'll make people very happy. Thank you. So yeah, that's not gonna happen at this point, but you never know.
Yeah. So yeah, like I grew up with Rugrats and stuff like that, and that was pretty much my Nicktoons memory.
Have you seen the current reboot?
Yeah, it's definitely it's not. I wouldn't say it's the greatest, but like it's kind of decent, if I could say that.
Okay.
Like some of the things I'm not sure if I liked if they changed, like the like this may put me down with some of the people I've actually tried to be kind to, but like I'm not sure how I feel about Phil Mills' mom being lesbian.
Okay.
Like I kind of liked her relationship with
Howard.
Howard. Yes, I kind of liked her relationship with Howard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I mean, especially since this is supposed to be a show about new parents and about their experiences with trying to raise a child in that particular day and age. So, I mean, that is not my major issue. From what I've seen in clips, I think my major issue is that it's kind of like an awkward balance between adding too many things and not removing a lot of it at the same time. I mean, I've seen a few clips in which, they actually remade classic episodes of Rugrats, but made it into shorts. And I'm like, but we already have the originals, so what's the point? And it's not even as good to begin with. It's much more slower pace, even though it's a lot shorter. So there's that. And also, I even stated this many years ago with ZL when we were doing Nick's Smissel all the way back at around 2013 or 2014, when we were talking about like the failed Klasky Chupo pilots, where we were talking about, man, Klasky Chupo does not do good in CGI. So I think that
No, I don't think it does. Well, even though I don't think, like I said, it looks decent, but it doesn't look great.
yeah, I mean, it looks fine, I would say. It looks okay, but still, I mean, I still don't understand why they decided to make it 3D. I think it was just a very unnecessary change. It's like, okay, we want to be different. And I'm like, okay, now what else are you going to do different? Well, I mean, they completely changed the casting of the adults, which makes a lot of sense considering that a lot of them have since passed away or retired. So, want to be able to bring some fresh blood into, the adults voice acting. And hey, we have them doing different jobs. Like we have Charlotte as a councilwoman, and we have a lot of the other characters doing different jobs, which okay, fair enough. That makes a lot of sense considering that, a lot of these jobs, they're more of a modern take. I don't mind that. I feel that if they wanted to go all out with like completely remaking Rugrats from the ground up, in my opinion, I think that they should have gone all out. And I think that they should have like had the cast of the babies. And I'm sure this is gonna like anger a lot of people. I think they should have gotten rid of them entirely and just started over from scratch. DuckTales 2017, they were able to do that, where they were able to do a new take on DuckTales. They gotten rid of everybody who was in the cast, and they were able to bring a new, refreshing show into it by making it stand out, but at the same time calling back to the original. And I thought, that's a great idea. Let's do that. And I understand that, keeping the original characters in Rugrats has already made them iconic. Like, oh, I can't imagine Tommy not being voiced by E.G. Daily and Chucky not voiced by Nancy Cartwright and all those things. It's like, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, I just feel like if you're going to go all out with bringing back Rugrats, I mean, bring it back for a new generation. It's just in that awkward phase. It's like, okay, you're trying to cater to both people who grew up with it and people who've never seen it. Now, I'm actually curious for those who've never seen Rugrats before, because maybe they didn't grow up with it, like maybe younger kids. I'm actually curious. Do you like this new version of Rugrats? I am genuinely curious. Please let me know in the comments.
Yes, so I'm not that satisfied with it. Like I think it's decent, but like there were some things I didn't like that much. Like I already mentioned, the thing with Phil's mom, and I still feel kind of weird that they changed the grandpa into a hippie.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense considering that, Grandpa in the old series was a World War II veteran. So they had to like make him a little bit more towards today's kids. And I guess hippie is probably the closest thing. I don't know. It is very weird, but at the same time, I understand that they had to change Grandpa Lou because, Joel Lasky, the second voice of Grandpa Lou, had passed away. So I get it. And Michael McKean does a really, really good job of playing as Grandpa Lou. I mean, he does great in everything that he's been in. But yeah, the hippie thing is a bit confusing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that maybe, the whole, oh, I'm a, disgruntled grandpa who's been through the war and, I've done everything. And, you kids don't know anything about like how things are rough back in the day. And we had to do everything for 15 miles and stuff like that. I guess they couldn't do that kind of thing anymore. So I get it.
I kind of like that. that version of him. So,
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I did too. I'm sure a lot of people did, but I guess if they needed to do a new take on the character, I could understand what they were thinking of. But yeah, I think that it was pretty interesting, but probably not in a good way. And I know a lot of people were like complaining about like, oh man, you have these characters playing video games and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, but that's because they're in their 30s. I mean, think of like people today in their 30s. They'll probably be doing the same thing that you'll be doing. I mean, that was the whole point of the show, at least the half point, in which you got to see what 30-year-olds were like raising kids in that particular time period. So it does make a lot of sense. And another thing that I really did enjoy about like seeing the clips of Rugrats that I have seen is that they were able to, give more fleshing out with some of the adult characters like Charlotte. I mean, I've always had an issue with Charlotte in which she was always in the background, but I did like that we actually do get to spend a little bit more time with her. I have not seen the Christmas specials, so I can't say anything about that.
I actually did see the Christmas special. The Christmas special wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but that's pretty good.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Like if I had to say there was like at least like one good episode I enjoyed, that would be one of them. Also, maybe the first episode wasn't too bad. It still showed off the relationship between Chetty and Tommy, which was one of the scenes I really liked about the show.
Gotcha. Okay, well that's pretty cool. Yeah. I know that the show has become pretty successful, so I know that they're going to be having some more seasons of it. So you know what? I mean, good for them. I wish them the best of luck.
Yeah, I do. I guess I wish them the best luck too. But like, I just wish like maybe it was maybe a little better. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. Yeah, so I mean, as for anything else that I can think of in terms of like bringing back, that's all I can think about for now.
So, speaking of Rugrats, that's the first one I show you. Hold on, let me see if I can get him without copying his over. I got Reptar.
Oh yes, you have the purple Reptar. That's very nice.
Yep. My little sister saw it look like Barney. I'm like, it does not look like Barney.
Well, yeah, it's more like a pink color, while Barney is like full on purple.
Yeah. The camera around for a minute. That's the word that stickers there.
Oh yeah, I see the sticker of the Rugrats characters dress up. That's very nice.
I got a lot of fun little pups and action figures up here.
Oh, okay, cool.
You're gonna love this one. This is one of the other shows you got me into. Mr. Tasty.
Oh, you got a Mr. Tasty figure. That's awesome. Oh man, I got to get me one of those. I don't have a lot of Pete and Pete stuff actually. The only ones I do have was the Polaris t-shirt from many years ago, which I need to get a new one, by the way, because that one is full.
I love that song.
Yeah.
I was one of the things that I was so happy about when you got me into the show. That song is so good.
Which one?
The theme song, of course.
Oh yeah. Hey Sandy, yes. It's a great theme song. Yeah, I need to get another Pete and Pete, figurine or something. I don't have any. I only have the vinyl record, which, by the way, has been sold out. And the only one that they do have is the pink one to give awareness to breast cancer for Breast Cancer Awareness Month back around October. But the basic one has been sold out since then. But yeah, I definitely need to get myself another t-shirt because that one is pretty old and has a lot of holes in it. And yeah, I definitely need to get myself some more merch. I don't have enough merch. The only Nick merch I have is a few books. I actually have a few other things like some t-shirts, and I also have like 2 vinyls. One is the Polaris one, and the other one is a Hey Arnold one. But yeah, I definitely need to get myself some more stuff.
So yeah, I got Mr. Tasty.
Yep.
I like the ice cream guy. He was one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
I almost wish like if I had to have one of those moments where where you want to step into the TV, I would love to step into the TV and pick one of those little blue puzzles.
Oh yeah, the Blue Tornado bar. Yeah, that'd be really nice. I really would love to see Pete and Pete back in some way, shape, or form, but I know that that's probably not going to happen either. The closest thing that we have right now are the reunion specials.
Yeah, I think the actors might be a little bit old for it now, aren't they?
Sure, sure, but then again, I mean, we've had Fuller House and Raven's Home, so that doesn't really
Yeah,
justify that. They could probably just focus on their kids
Raven's
or
Home actually
something.
hasn't been too bad.
Okay, well, fair enough. I mean, that show's been lasting for like 500 years, so yeah. But I think that it would be nice to see. I mean, the thing that I've been seeing in more recent years is like, oh, the characters who are adults now, let's focus on their kids. So that's what I've been seeing in recent years. So I'm sure that they could probably do the same thing with Pete and Pete. Like, oh, we have Pete and Pete, and they have kids now, and we get to see what their lives are like. So I mean, I know that
Why
Will.
isn't P&P on Paramount Plus yet? That's to be on there right away.
Well, I did a theory on as to why, if you saw my Halloweeny video, where I think that the
Oh
reason
yeah,
why is
it's
because
because of
of
music and
yeah,
the
the
music
the
rights.
music rights. Yeah, exactly. The music rights are all over the place. They featured like over 20 bands and musicians. So not only just Polaris, but also Magnetic Fields and Drop 19s and Chug and Sid Straw, just so many people there. It's going to be ridiculous trying to work out those music rights. So
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's the same thing with the Red Expectation episode.
exactly, with the vacation episode, and then there was the Chalk Zone episode with the Ha Ha Men. So yeah, anything that involves with like
I think they still have the Chop Zone, the Ha Ha Man episode. At least the Touring the Cartoon Hero when I listened to his review.
yeah, well, I remember that it was not available on DVD, and also that when they before they took down the entire series on Paramount Plus, they removed that episode on Paramount Plus. So yeah, that's a whole rights issue. I mean, music rights is just like really, really sketchy. Like you have to really know about how much music you can be able to implement in an episode. I mean, there have been some exceptions in which they're able to maybe like play one song in like one particular episode if they get the rights to it. I mean, like we've seen Adventure Time and Amphibia in which they actually did get the rights to use like a particular song, and they can be able to not worry about copyright
Yeah,
claims
Lean
on
on
that
Me.
one. Yeah, the Lean on Me, yes, exactly. And also with Adventure Time using the Cheers theme song and the Mr. Belvedere theme song. So yeah, I think that there is a way of doing it, but I'm sure that there's a lot of hoops that they have to jump into so that they can be able to deal with the legal issues. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's probably a reason why Pete and Pete has not been up on Paramount Plus, and that's another reason. Rights issues is a reason why we don't have shows like Wienerville on Paramount Plus, because if you remember back in the day, they used to play a lot of cartoons around the first season and a little bits on the second season. And those cartoons were actually cartoons from UPA. And this was at the time in which Nickelodeon had the rights to UPA. And now they don't anymore because it's owned by another company. So they have to deal with the legal issues on that one as well. So yeah, I'm sure that they can be able to work around it. I think I remember when it did air on like Nick Rewind or the Splat. I'm not sure when the one time that they aired Wienerville on there. I think they were able to play
Yeah.
like a Nicktoon or something to kind of like retroactively, change that. Maybe they'll do it if they do if they decide to do it. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know if there's like a demand for Wienerville to be up on Paramount Plus, but I would love to see it if there was.
I don't know if many people actually remember that show. Like, I think that was one of the only live, I should say Nicktoons I haven't seen yet.
Well, it's not a Nicktoon; it's a live action show.
I meant live action then. Sorry.
Right. I mean, I understand that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that in terms of like shows that I would love to see come back, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things like on Paramount Plus I would love to see in there. I mean, even though that they're probably still working around it, sure that maybe they'll probably post like Alex Smack there because it's not up on Paramount Plus. I mean, they just finally gotten the complete series of Alex Smack on DVD about a few years ago after like over a decade when it was just only one season of Alex Smack on DVD.
I think the Ultimate is on there, but you have to buy it.
Yes, you do have to buy it, right?
I remember I bought it one time.
Yeah, and the only reason why they released the first season of Alex Mack in the first place was because Jessica Alba was in the episodes and she played as the bully. And this was back when Jessica Alba's career was starting to pick up with those Fantastic Four movies. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that was literally the only reason why we only got an Alex Mack season 1 for almost a decade. So now the complete series is out. So, yeah, there's that, but there's a lot of shows that are not out on DVD or even up on Paramount Plus, like Journey of Alan Strange, No 100 Deeds for Eddie McDowd, Space Cases is not on DVD. There's a lot of shows that are not on DVD. I guess maybe
And
because Shout Factory lost.
that other show you got me into, Caitlin's Way.
Yes, Caitlin's Way. Yes, I would love to see Caitlin's Way on DVD. I mean, it's a shame because like pretty much nobody talks about it. I guess maybe it's due to music rights because there was a lot of music that also played on Caitlin's Way, especially the theme song. So maybe they're trying to work around that. But I think that as long as a show doesn't have that kind of high demand, that nobody will be able to tune into it. But I mean, I think that that's not correct because I'm sure that there's a lot of people who didn't see Avatar: The Last Airbender before it was up on Netflix and then it became just a massive hit. So, hey, if you give somebody the availability to watch something and it becomes really popular, maybe it'll make you money. I don't know. That could be an idea, Paramount.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's me just complaining. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
Next up we got Gerald.
oh yes, I see that. That's a Gerald figurine. Very nice. I have a Hey Arnold bobblehead somewhere. That's from Hey Arnold the movie. I remember I picked that up for like around $10 many years ago at Goodwill, and then I decided to look it up online to see how much it is now. And I think that depending on where you look, it could be like ranging from about maybe $30 to $60. So I got away with it pretty good. Same thing happened with Invader Zim when I purchased that on DVD for the first time, in which when I was in Hot Topic back in like 2004, I bought my DVD over there for like maybe around $40-50. But now at the time when I was doing the shopping, it was like around like maybe $75 to $200 because they were out of print, and then they actually did another DVD box set, so it's now a lot easier to purchase. So I remember the house, like the DVD that actually had like Zim's house as like the case. It's like over $300 now, which is ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, it is a little bit easier to find the episodes, especially now that they're up on Paramount Plus. So yeah, I mean, trying to find like copy of the series at the time was like really, really expensive because it had been out of print for years. Same thing with a lot of the shows from like Shout Factory because they had lost the license to releasing the stuff on Nickelodeon. So the Doug DVDs are out of print, and a lot of the shows that were released on DVD, like Rocko's Modern Life and Rocket Power and Wild Thornberries and various other shows, they're slowly becoming a little bit more rare because they're out of print. So I would love to see more DVDs of it, but I think that more people are getting into streaming now. But at the same time, it's like, we can have a Chalkstone situation. There's
still a little bit market for DVDs, for main collectors. Like I actually got to the whole complete series of Angry Beavers on DVD. I think I showed you that in the video.
Yes, that's right. I did show that on my video. I think I showed that on my top 10 Angry Beavers episodes, and I showed that on the live stream that I did this year. So yes, I do have the DVDs, and that one was actually something that I had purchased from one of the former admins of the Reopen Nickelodeon Studios Facebook page, Tim. He was selling a lot of his Nickelodeon stuff, and so I decided to buy it off of him for like $30. So that's how I got my copy.
I asked that from Walmart, but I think you're more lucky. You actually got from the guy who made that.
No, not necessarily. I didn't get it from Mitch. I just got it from a friend of mine. As for I remember that I actually
is what I meant.
Yeah. I mean, I actually gotten the Hey Arnold the Jungle movie on Walmart. I remember that when they were selling it, when shortly after the special came out. I purchased it for about, what was it, like $20? And then I remember that the DVDs were like selling out like hotcakes. It was like really ridiculous. It kind of reminded me of the time in which when I was doing my video on the history of Hey Arnold the Jungle Movie, and I was talking about like Walmart sales of Hey Arnold DVDs were like selling off the shelves, and that was a major reason from Nickelodeon on why they decided to bring the Jungle Movie in, because they saw how profitable Hey Arnold was.
Yeah, him. I love the Jungle Movie. I like that they started making news about the Jungle Movie, so I started dating into Harold. Him at first, when Harold first came upon, I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it. I got into this weird thing where I thought I was trying to rip off Rugrats because they had similar style.
Mm.
But
I mean, I guess I could see that, especially since Craig Bartlett also worked on Rugrats in its first season.
but I was just totally wrong though, because like I ended up loving it, and especially Hilda. I fell in love with her character right away.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I still love my theory though, of how I thought that Hilda and Yelda might be related.
Interesting. I mean, I know that was the dream, but you know, I'm sure that people have their theories, and I'm sure that they can give justified reasons as to why they think so.
Yeah, well, like they do look alike, and they both kind of mean, and they both have not the greatest parents.
Hmm. I mean,
And
okay.
and you know, you know, we've seen Drew's side of the family, but we never seen Charlotte's side of the family. You know that?
Hmm. Hmm.
So you know
Possibly.
that's kind of putting something there.
Okay, well, that's an interesting
Okay,
theory.
okay, it's the um. You have to like this one, but this was still one of my favorite tunes growing up. Since I was a kind of a 1970s growing up person. Cat
Hmm.
dog. So yeah, yeah, cat dog, thunder pup.
Oh, okay.
And then this one you'll know. Oral monsters.
Oh, yes. That's very nice. That's very nice. I really do like that figurine.
Yeah, I'm playing next maybe like next year or maybe after holidays. I'll do this thunder pop.
Oh yeah, I actually have an Ickis Funko Pop somewhere in my room. I got that as a gift from my friend Kevin. So it's actually one of the very few Funko Pops I actually own. I mean, they were all gifts. I haven't bought one on my own volition. I got three Funko Pops. I have Ickis, I have Pinky from Pinky and the Brain, I have Charlie from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Oh no, scratch that. I have four. The other one is Mega Man. So yeah, I have four Funko Pops, and they were all gifts. So yeah, my Ickis one, I've always wanted to go to a convention and see if I can get Charlie Adler to sign it, but he had not been in any of the conventions that I've ever been to. So I would love
Yeah,
to actually get a chance to meet him someday.
I fell in love with Arbor Monsters when my dad rewatched it, and it just is my favorite. So he's like in the first episode he almost scared me with those red eyes like.
Yeah, yeah. I really like the fact that it was able to kind of be kind of creepy, but at the same time bring in the grossness and its humor. So I did really enjoy it. I always felt that it was kind of like Klasky Chupo's underrated Nicktoon, but that was before As Told by Ginger came about. So I would say it's like the second most underrated. But yeah, I mean, I did enjoy watching Real Monsters. It's a great show to watch, especially around Halloween. So yeah, it's also a lot of fun to tune into.
And then this one I got recently, and they're Rugrats.
Oh
And
yes,
Zelda
that's
this
very
too.
nice. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Angelica dressing up as a witch with Fluffy on her side. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Speaking of Arbor Monsters, I remember that being. I think that was one of the ones I kind of missed, but with the Halloween special where they dress up with the Arbor Monsters, that was my favorite.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I even discussed about that in the Nickelodeon Halloween specials podcast where we had John Douglas and one of the hosts behind Whiskey-lodeon, and that was the episode he talked about, where it was the episode where the Rugrats characters met up with the All Real Monsters characters, and we talked about that. It was the first of the other crossovers that they would have with the other Klasky Csupo characters, because in Nick Magazine, there was one that we had Tommy and Angelica being babysat by Otto and Reggie from Rocket Power. And then, of course, there was the Rugrats Go Wild movie where they cross over with the Wild Thornberrys. So, yeah, it was actually the first of many crossovers that they would have.
Yes, I got to turn my camera around for this one. I got 2 heifer fitters and a fitter Rocco. And then right next to Gerald, I got a fitter of Arnold and Rain Gattet.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, those are really nice figures. I really think that those are really nice collections that you have.
Then I think they already showed you this one from the Angel Beavers one, my Angel Beavers fitter.
Oh yes, I remember. Yes, you did. I believe you showed that during the anniversary live stream.
Hold on, so I gotta turn off my alarm. I wasn't sure when this was at 6 or 7, so I had 2 alarms set, 1 for 6, 1 for 7.
Okay, yeah. I think that we can start wrapping things up, unless you have any other questions that you'd like to ask.
Nope, but I think that was mostly it. What I wanted to do, I wanted to ask you some questions and show off my stuff. I guess I already asked you what your favorite one was.
Okay, well, I thank you for that, and I hope that you got all the answers you needed.
I just like to throw maybe one more question on there. Are there are you doing what's a Nintendo savings specials? So, for the holidays.
Well, I mean, Thanksgiving's coming up, so I'll probably be tuning into some of the Thanksgiving specials. I mean, there's not a lot of them for Nickelodeon. I mean, you have the Keenan and Kel Thanksgiving special, you have the Told by Ginger Thanksgiving special, you have the Rocko's Modern Life Thanksgiving special, so I'll probably be tuning into
and the Hey Arnold one, of course.
And the Hey Arnold one, yeah, that's like my favorite out of all of them. So yeah, that's one I have to tune into every single year. So yeah, I'll be tuning into those for sure.
So, unless you have a question for me, I guess that's it.
Well, I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on by, Nasaya. I really do appreciate it.
Yes, I was glad I was finally able to meet you. Like, you're one of my favorite YouTubers.
Well, thank you very much. So yeah, I mean, do you have like a website or social media that you like to share amongst you the people who are listening in?
I guess I would like to maybe share my own YouTube channel. I think you watched it one time when I did my top 10 Hey Arnold episodes.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll probably give all that information for people to check out on the description below, so that they can be able to tune into your stuff.
And otherwise, I think that's pretty much it. I do have a TikTok channel right now, but that's it.
Okay, then. As for me, my usual links and websites and stuff like that. But for those who don't, my website is oldschoollane.net. I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/oldschoollane, facebook.com/oldschoollane. I'm on Twitter at Patty_B_Miranda, unless you want me to change out of Twitter, because a lot of people are leaving it nowadays. So I don't know. I also have the podcast up on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, multiple places. New episodes of the podcast will go there first, and then it'll go up in a few days on YouTube, except on this case. Today's episode will be coming up on both YouTube and on the podcast feed, because it just so happens to be the 10th anniversary of the podcast Casual Chats. So yeah, that should be it, everyone. Let us know in the comments below about your favorite episodes of my podcast Casual Chats. And also, if you have any questions for me, then let me know on the comments or ask me on my social media pages. And yeah, we got some cool stuff to wrap up the year, so stay tuned for that. That's it. Hope to see you around soon, and take care.
Bye, Patricia.
Bye-bye.
Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary.